Hey guys, this is my part 2 of reviewing every Bond film, and we start off with A View to a Kill. This is Roger Moore's last portrayal and Lois Maxwell's as well. We have had changings of M's, we have had changings of Bonds, but it's the first time we have a change in Money Pennies, and this, I think, Lois Maxwell's last portrayal was great, and this was truly an end of an era. And personally, I think this was a great ending to his era. Roger Moore did it perfectly. Villain is a grade A psychopath. Mayday is an interesting character to say the least. Also, Bond gets a Soviet medal. If that doesn't give us a thumbs up, I don't know what will. A overall nice and pleasant watch. I highly recommend you should watch it. I gave it a solid 8 out of 10. And with that gone, this is the 15th installment of the James Bond franchise. The Living Daylight starts off with Timothy Dalton. His era begins and Caroline Bliss as a new Miss Moneypenny. Russian plot, but not about missiles. Finally, something like this happens. A coup in the Russian army, and Bond has to figure out what information is true and what is false. Great premise, great movie. You should watch it. I gave it a solid 7.5 out of 10. Now the next one, License to Kill. This was Timothy Dalton's last portrayal, a very short run as Bond for him and Caroline Bliss as well. Felix Leiter, about to be married, stops on the way to stop a drug lord. Bond is the best man, drug lord escapes, kills Felix's wife, tried but failed to kill Felix himself. Felix found by Bond and his vendetta begins. I mean, this is a great premise. Bond's license to kill is revoked and all hell breaks loose. No other way to describe it. Solid movie in my eyes. I give it a 9 out of 10. Now that was the end of the Timothy Dalton era. And now begins the Pierce Brosnan era. And you'll be shocked to find this era is a defining era for Bond. And with the 17th installment, Goldeneye. My god, this is a terrific movie. Fast-paced Bond. Great plot with Russian and Alex, the double crosser. And Brosnan just has a charm and is oozing confidence that was lacking previously. And also, Judi Dench is the perfect M. Just saying. I give it a 9 out of 10. This is a defining movie for Bond. I think this is a generational movie. It will be hard for anyone to say Goldeneye isn't a bad movie. It's a terrific one. I give it a 9 out of 10. And with the next installment, you can't say anything bad either. Tomorrow Never Dies. I mean, it's a great plot. A rich news guy who wants to control the world. What can go wrong? Some personal stakes added. Chinese Secret Service is in the mix. Must watch. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. I mean, the Pierce Brosnan era is so good that I lack the words to tell you how good it is. And I have to go into in-depth reviews for these ones specifically. I think I do them first because they're that good. And with the next one, The World Is Not Enough. It's a great plot. We have Russian allies, a trusted companion's betrayal. I mean, this was a good era for Bond fans, man. This truly was a good Bond. Pierce Brosnan, thank you. You did Bond justice, unlike anyone before you. But sadly, all good things must come to an end. And this was the last time Desmond Llewellyn played Q, as he shortly died after the movie was released. The last survivor of the 60s Bond era. I give it a solid 8 out of 10. This was a great movie, must watch, man. And the next one, the 20th installment of the Bond films, Die Another Day. Pierce Brosnan's final portrayal, and what a way to go. Captured, tortured, broken, but still refusing to give up the fight. But it might be a little corny at times with an invisible car, bound out racing a sunray, a literal ice palace, etc. The Pierce Brosnan era of Bond films was great, but the films are more Arnold Schwarzenegger style, high-paced action movies. But the way Brosnan plays Bond, no wonder why people think he was the best. He just had the charm, charisma and confidence that 007 needed, but no one else had before. I give this one a solid 7.5 out of 10. It's just not up there with some of its previous Bond eras because it's very CGI heavy, But overall, I think it's still a must watch. I think personally, Pierce Brosnan's whole Bond era is a must watch. My only problem with the entire Pierce Brosnan era is that he didn't have a Felix Leiter. Not to say James Bond needs one, it's always good and enjoyable to see him having some relations with Felix Leiter because I think they have a bond unlike any other. He did still share some American friendships with he's so forgettable, I don't even remember his name. That's just something about Felix Leiter. You just enjoy him having conversations with Bond. And now this is the first time 007 is rebooted. After Pierce Brosnan, Daniel Craig took up the mantle of James Bond, and his era has been a dark and gritty Bond. And it's all started with the 21st installment, Casino Royale. You can think of this reboot as you like, but over 40 years in the making was Casino Royale, and boy was it worth the wait. Daniel Craig has the same charm, charisma, and oozing confidence of Brosnan just jumped to 11. A dark and gritty origin story for Bond, and starting the first few minutes in black and white with his origin going into the iconic barrel shot. My god, what a way to start the movie. It makes a high stakes poker game look enjoyable to watch. And that's not easy. And not to mention the fact this Bond is learning and is emotionally vulnerable, and in the end when Judi Dench's M says, "You don't trust anyone, do you?" Brilliant, cementing Craig's Bond as being fully submerged in 00 land, where he knows trust no one and believe no one. This truly is a masterpiece. No other Bond film comes close to this. I give this one a 10 out of 10. Now with the second movie of Daniel Craig, the 22nd installment, Quantum of Solace. Seriously, it was a low ball from what Casino Royale was. It picks up where Casino Royale left off and is not a masterpiece. It's a huge step down from Casino Royale. The plot is fine, I guess, but is forgettable, truly disappointing because of what came before. I give it a 7 out of 10. And the next one, Skyfall. It's better than Quantum of Solace in every way, but not up there with Casino Royale. It was a good plot, good villain, nice writing. The death of Judi Dench's M makes this a Bond film unlike any other, as 007 actually dies in a way at the beginning of the movie, and also we finally get some sort of origin story for Moneypenny, and we finally get Moneypenny and Q for this version of James Bond. And man, it was definitely worth the wait. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. And now the next movie, the 24th installment, Spectre. The writing is quite literally on the wall what this movie is going to be about. Interesting doesn't cover this movie. It's good, it's bad, and everything in between, if that makes sense. Mr. White's return and his daughter being the love interest. Interesting. They made it work. Blofeld being revealed, being in control of everything that has happened, and with the addition of the connection between him and Bond, it's somewhere between excellent and great, if that makes sense to you. And also as a bonus, Batista's in this movie as a giant badass henchman type character which suits him perfectly. I give this an 8 out of 10. And now the 25th installment of the Bond franchise, No Time to Die, and Daniel Craig's last portrayal as Bond. The first few minutes is just basically an origin story for Madeline. Spectre, Madeline being portrayed as betraying Bond, and the overall story of Madeline Bond's development here, I think it's excellent. It was done alright, I guess. Then we also, after all that, we see Bond's retirement and a new 007. Bond just enjoying a peaceful life. All hell breaks loose. Felix is coming asking him for help, and after he does help him, he dies. And then we have Bond also wanting revenge and also wanting to end this. And also all of Spectre, including Blofeld, is being executed in this movie. And in the end, Bond sacrificing himself for Madeline and his daughter. It makes for a good movie, the only downside being that the villain is not so good. that is what I basically mean, all of it. But I I think this movie is better if I tell you in an in-depth review what I mean. A lot of them are. Personally, I think No Time to Die is a good watch only because of how why James basically sacrifices himself. For that reason and that reason alone, I say I'm gonna give it a solid 8.5 out of 10. Also, as a bonus, like the previous video, I'm gonna tell you that there's a documentary of George Lazenby of how he got the role of Bond and what he turned down for not pursuing it. If you got some time to kill, it's a fun little watch. It's called Becoming Bond.